Wish you could fish more, anywhere, anytime. RODgeeks, a St. Croix rods partner, has developed a 42-inch one-piece travel rod designed and built with the same technology found in St. Croix rods. This travel rod is offered as a kit that comes with the RG42 rod, spinning reel, fishing line, pliers, and tackle tray. All in a case with space for your wallet, phone, and fishing license. Just grab and go. Perfect to keep in your pickup, car, or RV. This shorty performs much like a longer rod, but is compact enough for easy storage and for on-the-go use. Make this the summer you fish more. RODgeeks.com. Guidefitter.com. Guidefitter, bridging you to the outdoors while providing a quality platform for guides and outfitters for you to select from. Guidefitter is the best place to get discounts on gear if you're an outdoor professional. As a game warden, I'm a member of the Outdoor Government Program, which has over 80 quality brands to get discounts from. It's free to join. Yes, free to join. And all you need to do is prove that you're an active outdoor government employee. There are all kinds of products available. Apparel, boots, archery equipment, optics, backpacks, cameras, watches, ammo, anything, you name it. And while you're there, check out the articles, information, and stories that you'll be inspired from. So before you head out to work in the outdoors or start your next outdoor adventure, check out Guidefitter.com and get discounts on your everyday or every so often outdoor equipment. This is Game Warden Wayne Saunders for Guidefitter. Wireless partners building the FirstNet cellular network for AT&T in New Hampshire, Maine, and Vermont to ensure first responders can always communicate in emergency situations, so you know help is on the way when you need it. Wireless Partners is partnering for success with communities, local and state government, local business, and visitors. Wireless Partners building cellular networks for you. This podcast is brought to you by Maine Operation Game Thief. Please join me, Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and other game wardens on our adventures protecting wildlife, saving lives, and having fun, all while serving the public and the natural resources of our planet. Listen to the tales and experiences of those who work in the outdoors while being entertained with stories about encounters with poachers, wildlife investigation, murder investigation, near-death experiences, search and rescue missions, wildlife interactions from game wardens around the country and around the world. When I retired, I realized I couldn't let go of that legacy, but rather wanted to share the passion, the commitment, and the stories of those men and women that call themselves game wardens. This is Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and this is Warden's Watch. This podcast is with Jen Wolf of Michigan DNR, and Jen is a lieutenant with the Department of Natural Resources. I got DNR, yeah, so I should know that by now.
That's all right.
21 years, huh?
21 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Well,
And I got to tell everybody that the first time I ever saw Jen was in Texas. And it was like 110 degrees. And here she comes running by us. And we're all at a conference. And she runs by us. And we're like, that girl's in our conference, isn't she? But she's running. And then she stops to the stop sign. And she's got to stop and wait for traffic. She starts doing push-ups. And me and Ron Olis are standing there. We're like, she's nuts.
Thanks.
But physical fitness is a big part of you, isn't it?
It is.
You've always been really physically fit, haven't you?
I have.
Even in 110 degrees.
Ingrained it in me.
Yeah.
When I was 2 years old, she would take me for 4-mile walks.
Wow.
And she still
it's like
walks.
Child abuse.
She's had a knee replacement and still walks 8 miles every day. So
awesome. Yeah. So it is in your genes.
I think so. Yeah.
I'd love to meet your mom sometime because I thought you were crazy. I bet you she's crazier.
Oh, she rocks it. She does. She's at home watching my son right now, and she's letting him have all these kids come over, and she's just eating it up. So,
yeah. No, he loves Graham, doesn't he?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's huge. My son would be the same way. But in fact, he was like, next year, why don't you guys go on yourself, and I'll hang home with my grandfather. So and we're like, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how that works out when it's time to go. No, I want to go. So, but yeah, so 21 years with DNR, but you didn't start off with DNR, did you?
No, I didn't. I started off with the Michigan State Police. So I was a trooper in northern Michigan. And
how many women were part of Michigan State Police during that time? Was there quite a few, or were you a minority? Or
at that time, I was a minority. I know that they've been working really hard to increase their diversity. These past few years, they've had a great focus on hiring women. But during the time that I was hired, Out of our class of, I believe it was 98 people, there were 15 women.
Oh, that's still more than I would have thought.
Yeah. And then we ended up graduating, I think, 11 to 12
Wow.
out of that class. But that's reaching way back in the coffers 21 years ago.
Yeah, but that was a time when women were just really starting to get really involved with law enforcement too. And to be honest with you, Jen, I get a lot of people reaching out to me and asking me, you can interview any women, or they want to hear the women's side. And it's a lot of women that either want to break into law enforcement or into law enforcement. So to hear breaking in 21 years ago is probably pretty interesting to them. And I find it interesting too, because I remember my academy class, which was similar. I think we probably, New Hampshire was small. We had like 45 in it, and we probably had 5 or 6 women. So, yeah. So have you seen the ratios grow? And like you said, there's actually incentives for Michigan to hire, right?
Oh, yeah. I have seen the ratings grow, and not that our Department of Natural Resources and Conservation Officers, we haven't been targeting any, I guess, groups to increase our diversity. We like to maintain our standards, but we have seen an increase in diversity in our department, I think, due solely to the marketing, all the outdoor shows.
Mm-hmm.
We've got one going on right now. I know New Hampshire had theirs, in Maine, and there's just a lot more advertisement and focus on the profession. When I grew up, I guess I was a tomboy, so all of my friends were guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of my first jobs was at a backcountry outfitter store, so I did a lot of hiking. And,
nice.
Yeah, skiing and kayaking and canoeing and camping. I lived outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
Then into high school, my friends started hunting and fishing, and, I followed right in that path. And then I got a job at a store that was called Traverse Bay Tackle, and all they did was hunting and fishing.
Wow.
I was then...
You got to learn that inside, the retail side of hunting and fishing, and the equipment, how to use it.
Right, and then you got the discount. So
then you get the discount. So you were popular among the boys, I bet, because how many girls hunted and fished, and then could get them discounts. So
exactly. I never looked at it that way. Thanks.
So was that your connection, that you wanted to become a game warden?
Actually, during that time. So I grew up in Traverse City, which is just a
no idea where that is.
Beautiful part of Michigan.
It is. Is it upstate, downstate, middle state?
It's northern. It's in the northern lower peninsula. Okay. Michigan's divided up into kind of two different areas. We have our upper peninsula, and they consider themselves their own state up there. Mm-hmm. And then the lower peninsula, but it's the upper northern, the upper lower peninsula.
Upper lower peninsula.
Lower peninsula.
and I can see that peninsula. So you're about a quarter of the way up the peninsula, basically.
Yeah, but Traverse City.
You're on the lake.
I wasn't on the lake.
But you were close.
We were close, yes. Yeah. And my great-grandfather had a cherry farm on Old Mission Peninsula, which is kind of a renowned area of the state, cherry capital of the world. And I
didn't know that.
Yeah, he had property on Bars Harbor, which is just, it's you need millions of dollars to live there now. But at that time, it was just all cherry farmers, and we would ride our horses back and forth to our cousin's house. And,
sounds like you had a great childhood,
well,
riding horses, cherry farm, beautiful country, working in an outdoor store. That sounds like a dream,
Right. Yeah, and neither of my parents, they were not the outdoorsman type people. I mean, we had camped with them. They didn't hunt and fish a whole lot. I kind of got into that on my own. Really got into fishing on the rivers, and that's where I had my first contact with a conservation officer. I got checked for my fishing license, which, I legally had one, and I'm tearing through my trunk of my car looking for it.
And he's thinking she doesn't have one.
Yeah, that's exactly. He's like, no, she doesn't. There's
a girl fishing. She, she probably just found that pole somewhere.
Yeah. But as I'm going through my trunk, I got my tents back there, my backpack, and he's like, you look like you spend a lot of time outdoors. And I said, I do. And he said, well, we've got a volunteer conservation officer program. Would you be interested? After you come and show me that you do have a valid license.
Yeah, of course. I want someone legal to participate.
Right. So that's kind of my first interaction with a conservation officer, who ended up living in my same neighborhood. Had never met him before, but we lived very close together. So excellent experience. Got up at wee hours of the morning. It was turkey openers, so we were out with binoculars. And, it was right.
So you
up
took
my
the
alley.
job as the
VCO,
the VCO volunteer
conservation officer.
Wow.
So I was.
And you worked basically hand in hand with the guy that checked your license.
Yep. Yeah. I think I was
and showed you the
17
ropes
at the time. Right. Yeah. Kind of showed me what the job was, and I mean, at that time, I thought this is just the coolest thing in the world. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So kind of that's what I had my eyes set on. And then when I worked at this outdoor sporting goods store, one of the other employees there, who I became very good friends with, her father was also a conservation officer.
Oh wow!
So he kind of took me under his wing and taught me
they were grooming you because
keep your nose clean and
absolutely the same thing that we do today.
Yeah, exactly.
If you keep your nose clean, there's probably a good chance you can do it. Because how many times do we use backgrounds and we flush them out because they did something stupid?
Right. Just not thinking
and some of us just didn't get caught doing something stupid.
Right. That's right. It's all about what you got caught doing.
Some of the interactions I've had, the third time, I'm like, you shouldn't do anything wrong because you keep getting caught. You're just not good at violating. So, and they're hanging there. Yeah, you're right. So just try the straight and narrow for a little bit because you keep getting caught. So, but yeah, some people didn't. So, but anyways, I don't want to go down that road.
No, let's not do that.
But volunteer, do they still have that position today?
No, they don't. We don't have a volunteer. We do have a ride-along program.
Okay.
So when we have interested candidates or just, high school students who really want to learn what the job is, we definitely hook them up with some officers in the field, and they get out there and experience it just like I did.
Right.
Over 25 years ago. So.
And I did a similar thing, rode along with my local conservation officer for years and years and years, and kind of groomed me to be a game warden. So it's really cool because you get that training before you get your training.
Exactly. So. And I have a lot of interested candidates, female and male alike, that come to me and ask me what can I do, and that's my first recommendation is do ride-alongs. Yeah. And our state is so diverse. I say, do them all over the state. Don't just do them in your area. If you have an opportunity,
right? It's diversified.
Yeah, we've got rivers, lakes, streams, and then
you got game wardens in the city too, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah, we've got Detroit and we've got Belle Isle, which is our 104th state park, and it's just in a very urban area, right? Completely different. And to get that diverse experience, it really helps when you're out in the field somewhere else. Dealing with people,
Totally understand that. So do females gravitate to you to ask you those questions, do you think?
They do. Yeah, I think so. And they ask about physical fitness too, because I try to portray that I'm physically fit and I work really hard at it, and it takes
And you can do pretty much anything a guy can do.
I try.
Yeah.
Every fitness test that we do every year, that's my goal is to beat
kick their butts.
Is to beat the 20 to 25-year-old male testing scores.
Wow.
And I've been successful so far.
I'm sure you have.
Yeah. And I also, when we have recruit schools, I go and work out with them and, kind of show them that other people can do it just as well as a 25-year-old male. So.
Right. No doubt. Because I think that's one of the big concerns of females is it can be very physically demanding, whether it's dragging a deer or, bringing those antlers out of the woods or doing a search and rescue mission or, handling a piece of equipment like a snowmobile and stuff like that. So
yeah, they are intimidated, backing up a trailer and doing that sort of thing. But our agency is just phenomenal at making sure that all of the officers have the skills that they need to be confident in the job that they do.
And that's so important.
Yeah, and I've seen no differences between the men and the women in the field. In fact, our last 4 recruit schools, we've had a third women.
Wow.
In those schools. And like I said, we don't change our standards whatsoever.
Right.
And we've had women at the top of the class for each one. Many of them won awards for the work
that's
they've
extremely
done.
impressive, looking around the nation and stuff. I think that's extremely impressive because, we're having a hard time recruiting people, never mind women. And, to have that, up there to those standards is very impressive. Michigan should be proud of that. So,
and we are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, I can tell, and as you should be. So, because I'm sure you're part of that formula that makes that happen. So,
well, I try. I hope I can leave a legacy. You know.
No, but I think you're doing a heck of a job, Jen. But we haven't even gone to DNR. We've been talking about DNR, but you started off in the state police. That wasn't where your passion was. That wasn't your love. And how long did you spend there?
I spent about 5 years with the state police.
And I'm assuming you got some pretty good skill sets while you were there.
Yeah, I did. I worked at a post in northern Michigan, not my home county, because they'll never put you in a home county. So I was at least 5 or 6 counties away. But I worked in a very rural, we covered 3 counties. Part of it was the Pigeon River Forest, which is a federal forest with lots of elk and bear and, phenomenal hunting. So me being the cub at the post is what we were called, the newbies coming in. I'm on midnight shifts. So
the cob?
The cub.
The cub, okay.
The cub.
Gotcha.
So I would, I found myself out in the Pigeon River Forest.
That's better than baby warden, because I've heard that Eddie Henderson out of Georgia called them baby wardens, which I actually like baby wardens, but cub's a little bit better.
The cubs at the post, we got to clean the bathrooms and do all those things that the cubs had to do. So I'm on midnight crew, and I find myself out looking for animals and driving through Pigeon River Forest, and it's an area that draws a lot of fishermen and hunters and
did you ever check licenses as a trooper?
Always. Yeah. And that's what I say.
Awesome.
They do the same job we do. But yeah, opening day deer season, I'd be driving through Pigeon River Forest, stopping at camps, and kind of funny because all the guys would be like, "Oh, what's a honey bear doing out here?" Yeah. So they called me the honey bear, and because I'm a female driving around in the woods checking hunters. And,
right.
But those are the kind of relationships that you develop, and it's just getting out there and talking to people, and it's a passion of mine, so they were easy to talk to, and you come across violations, and I always got to thank you. Yeah. When I issued that citation, it was generally a pleasant experience. Yeah. So.
And I've had a few trooper friends that check licenses too, and I always say they should have been game wardens, but I had a fisherman ask me one time, he goes, "Yeah, a trooper just stopped here and checked my license. Can he do that?" Right. I'm like, absolutely he can, and I'm very happy he did. So, and then when he'd get stuck in places that he shouldn't even be, I'd go out and pull him out because he was out being a game warden / trooper. So, but
I've been there.
He bought himself a set of chains later after I pulled him out that last time because he's like, "Yeah, you might not be around next time, Wayne." So I went out and purchased a set of chains so I could try to help myself out a little more.
Yeah, it's amazing what a safety blanket can get you out of in the
really
nice too.
Yeah, that's
threw plenty of those.
Yeah,
the car.
Need another safety blanket, huh, Jen?
Exactly.
I'm sure you learned those valuable skills of getting a car out of places a truck should be.
Absolutely.
Oh, but you never lost your passion, huh?
Oh no. In recruit school, I met my husband, who happened to have the same desires I did.
Was he a recruit too?
Yeah, he was state police, and that's where we met, was at the academy.
Oh, cool.
It's very paramilitary, so you weren't really able to engage with your classmates.
Yeah, you didn't chat a whole lot, huh?
No, but it was drive track week when they lighten up a little bit and they let you talk, so that was our first communication, and I had my godfather was Big John from Big John Downriggers. He had a big company that does downriggers, right?
Wow.
They make downriggers. So I was talking about the fishing tournaments that I'd been on for salmon and the Great Lakes and that sort of thing. And my husband at the time now, I guess, was immediately enthralled.
Yeah, he never met a girl like that before.
Right.
She's talking about downriggers.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met a girl that's been talking about downriggers. So.
Yeah, so, but so that's interesting. That's how we met. And, at that time we had no idea that we would end up dating and getting engaged and
married. How many years now?
Yeah, well, just had our anniversary yesterday for 18 years. So.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Both have careers in law enforcement. That's pretty awesome.
I think that's a big part of why we've made it so long. We've got a lot of law enforcement friends who've been through several divorces.
Right.
And I think just having that understanding of the job.
You're right.
Really helps.
You're right, because the divorces are people that don't understand.
Right.
So, and don't want to deal with it.
And it's a pressure of the job, and the stress and understanding that you're going to deal with that stress in different ways. And sometimes you need space and sometimes you need a hug.
Yes. Nope, that's good. So, and just so everybody knows, her husband's a mountain of a man too. He's enormous.
Yeah, we're considered Mutton Jeffs.
Yeah. Bob's just the first time I met him, I'm like, wow. And he played Division I football, right?
Yes, he did.
For which college?
Western Michigan University.
Figures so. And I always thought he was a football player because that's what he looks like. And then I just confirmed that the other night. So I'm like, yeah. And then I've been sharing that with everybody else. Bob played football and they're all enthralled. So with the Clemson thing coming up next year and stuff.
Oh,
so,
yeah. He's excited to go to that one.
Yeah, I
too.
bet he is.
Yeah. And, but he's a big teddy bear. Not hurt to fly.
Oh, he seems like an awesome guy.
He cries at babies. And
Yeah. You might always say that on this.
Yeah, he won't want to hear this.
Oh, that's great. And it's great you guys have that relationship because it's always neat to see him when you come to these conferences because that's how we get to meet is these conferences and, become friends and got you involved in IWC too.
Yeah, you did. Roped me right in.
That's right. Well, we can see talent. That's one thing I was always good at picking out talent, people that do things well. And that first one, I saw that. And I'm like, that's somebody we need to grab a hold of and carry on because she's talented. So, and I think, looking at your resume here, I think your agency is seeing you're talented because you went over and, you're trying to explain it to me. So if you can tell me how you went over to the DNR and what you did there to start. Oh,
sure. So after, trooping in northern Michigan for 5 years, as we were talking about my husband, he was at the other end of the state. So we were about 250 miles apart.
You talk about some understanding, huh?
Right. Yeah. So, we spent our weekends off together. Actually, for a large portion of the time, we weren't on the same schedule. So on my days off, I would go work with him. Yeah, exactly. Not weekends. Or past days is what we would call them.
Your days off, yeah.
Right.
And if you got lucky, you get to spend a day together.
Yeah, exactly. But at least our sergeants allowed us to work together. So
that's good.
When I had my days off, I'd just go jump in the car with him. And,
that's great.
Yeah. Go to domestics and help him out.
Great.
And then, he would come up to northern Michigan and love riding around Pigeon River for us.
Oh, I bet. That was like vacation for him.
Exactly. See his first elk. And that was a good time. But then, we were married for a year and still hadn't lived together and getting to that point where we wanted to start a family.
Yeah.
That was something I said, well, no, I don't think I'm going to continue to do that alone.
Right.
So
you had to shift gears.
The Department of Environmental Quality, which also has conservation officers, was looking to fill some positions. Mm-hmm. So both my husband and I were going to apply at the time because they had a couple positions, both near me and near him.
He was going to apply for it too?
Yes. Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a water quality guy to me.
No. So, probably a good thing. I think
probably a good
the Lord
thing.
Was shining over us at the time.
I think so. I just don't see Bob in that role.
Yeah, that position up near me was pulled. So I applied for and was promoted into that agency as an environmental conservation officer and to do environmental crime. So it was a major change of pace.
I bet.
As far as taking a lot of burglaries, domestics, criminal sexual conduct, and now you're looking at pollution control and water contamination and corporate entity crimes and that sort of thing. So it was a large learning curve. Every case was a learning curve.
Yeah, there was no one case the same, huh?
No, and it's the NREPA laws are very gray.
What's an NREPA law?
National Resource Environmental Protection Act.
Okay.
So
I never had to deal with that.
Yeah, so all of those laws are very convoluted. A lot of your witnesses
now, are those
are
federal laws or those state laws for Michigan?
Federal and state. State can implement more stringent laws than federal. So sometimes they do that, but sometimes they adopt the federal standard.
Mm-hmm. So as a state entity, you were working on the federal laws as well and had federal authority?
Not federal authority at that time.
So you had to bring it to a federal system?
EPA.
Okay.
Yeah, EPA agents within the state. So sometimes we did work side by side with them.
Hand in hand on cases like that.
Exactly. Yeah, just as we do now with U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Exactly.
Although in Michigan, we do have authority to enforce the federal laws. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has...
As do we in most, I think, all states.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I'm sure. All states in the U.S.
All states in the U.S.
Canada does it, but
I don't know what Canada is either. So.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about that at the conference. We need to get more of them here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that was, like I said, it was a different culture as far as law enforcement goes. And I would also, moved from my comfort of a rural northern community in Michigan to the capital, right?
Wow.
State capital and
huge.
Yeah, all the politics.
Was Bob's patrol area close by?
Yeah, he was about 40 minutes away, so
Okay.
it still allowed us
Yeah.
to live together for the first time, which was also an adjustment.
I can imagine.
Yeah, people say we did it backwards, but
two type A personalities is always a challenge, no matter what your roles are. So yeah.
No, but it was a good experience, and we're very happy, and now we have our son, so we accomplished that goal too.
Yeah, absolutely. So from there, you moved on to you moved from the water quality, environmental investigations to the fish and wildlife end, huh?
Yeah. So just still my time in DEQ, there was a heavy focus on emergency management. We had 9/11, we had Hurricane Katrina, we had all these major incidents that really brought out some presidential directives and adoption of the National Incident Management System statewide.
Right.
So there were some requirements put upon state agencies to have emergency management programs. So I kind of, being in Lansing, being at the state capital, got absorbed into that of working for the department on an emergency management level, and coordinating our resources for response and support to local entities when their resources were deplenished and that sort of thing. So there again was a little twerk in my career where I'm learning something totally new, but if we're not learning, we're not growing. So
you're absolutely right on that.
I've really loved my career in that I've had those opportunities to expand my mind and continue to learn.
And to be honest with you, you're learning a lot of stuff that I wouldn't want to learn. So I'm so happy there are people like you. Because I remember, as they're looking for people to do that, a bunch of us took a one step back and left those other people one step forward. So they were in front of the line. So, because that's not my forte, you know. But,
and you're dealing with a lot of political issues, that side of it as well. So things that, most officers just want to stay out of the limelight.
Absolutely. So,
let me lock them up and put them away, and then I'm done, and move on to the next
Move on
case.
to the next one. And stick with what you know. But I'm so happy that people step up that, because someone has to, and to have a skill set to do those types of things is huge. So
but in the emergency management world, I found those people in those careers are very passionate and compassionate. To deal with.
They're almost the first responders on steroids, because they've been promoted up through there. Most of them have that lower basic level to start before they start managing. Right. So you're right. They have the compassion. They have the the skill set. They know what's going on out there, as long as they remember what's going on out there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a sense of duty that's very similar to any law enforcement agency. You have that sense of duty to respond, to answer the phone at midnight, and to get up and go when you need to go.
Right. And it's serious when you have to get up and go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. If you're, whether it be you're, responding to a natural disaster like a tornado or a water contamination event, you're protecting thousands of citizens. And your mission is to make sure that everybody gets back to normal.
Right.
There's a recovery period, and they feel safe and have trust in their community and their leaders and that sort of thing. So.
Right. And we don't have to go into details, but you were heavily involved with that national Flint water issue, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah. So as I was in DEQ, the position open in DNR as the position that I'm in now as lieutenant, to oversee their emergency management and homeland security section and their communications section, which is the dispatch center for our report all poaching hotline.
There's a lot of responsibilities wrapped into those titles.
Yeah, it is. I feel
they took a catch-all.
Yeah, and other duties as assigned.
That's the bottom line.
Yep, as we all know.
I guess.
In any management position. I was offered that opportunity and took it by the reins, and then Flint water contamination occurred, and
that was pretty much as soon as you took that position, wasn't it, if I remember correctly? And
very early on, within the first month or two. So at that point, I was kind of brought back in. I was actually doing emergency management for both departments. So I was doing it for DNR and DEQ. So heavy focus on what we were doing for DEQ,
as well as the investigation, I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot, just everything. I mean, we could spend days.
Yeah.
Days and days.
And it'd probably be too technical and I'd be bored, to be honest with you. But I love the investigation side of those types of things, no matter what it is. I just like, I like finding the truth and bringing them to prosecution and stuff. And I'm sure even with water, I'd be the same way. And, that hit national news and made a big splash. And to know that you were involved with that is pretty impressive that, they had someone doing that I knew.
And it was pretty surprising too, because the Department of Natural Resources incident management teams with our forest fire section, they're in Forest Resource Division, but they're the guys who combat all the wildfires in our state, and they're very institutionalized with the incident management teams and bringing order to chaos, right? So they were brought in as well to assist the DEQ staff.
To bring order to chaos.
Yeah, to manage this whole incident that's occurring. And it was, a big national drive. And then you have your celebrities like Cher showing up and, so many layers and putting in 20-hour days for consecutive days in a row. But
and
great experience.
No doubt.
Nothing I would want to go through again.
I totally understand. So, but that just brings how much important water is, and I think a lot of times we take granted for water. We still get water for free in restaurants, when
you turn your faucet on and water comes out.
And it's on, exactly. Yeah. So especially in the East Coast, we have more water than I look in Nevada. I'm like, wow, their water is precious here.
Yes.
But in the East Coast, it's pretty prevalent and we get quite a bit of it. And when we don't, we're like, what the heck's going on,
Right.
It's water. We should have it all the time.
Oh, geez. Right now we're having too much water.
Too much water.
Yeah.
We don't have enough. We have too much. We need that just right.
Yeah. People forget, in 1997 and in 1986, we had extreme high water levels. So it's cyclical.
Yes.
But people forget.
Yes. We have very short memories as humans.
Yes.
So, and it's funny to look back through the records to see the cold temperatures of like 1901. And, everybody's like, oh, this is crazy. This is where it's climate change is this. Well, we'll look back in 1901, they had the same thing going on. So,
exactly.
And I'm not saying it's not climate change. I'm not saying it is, but it's just, let's look back in our history for as long as we've been taking records and use that to look at it. So,
exactly.
Floods, the 100-year flood, it's no longer a 100-year flood. It's like a 500-year flood or a 50-year flood, because we've seen the 100-year flood. I think I've seen 3 of them in the last 10 years.
Yes. Well, just last year we had a 100-year flood event followed up by a 500-year flood event 3 weeks later.
Right.
In the same location. That was Houghton County, which was Upper Peninsula, far west side.
Right.
And we're still recovering from that. That's going to be a multi-year recovery.
And we need to start engineering for the 500-year flood.
Exactly.
Why are we engineering for the 100-year flood or not even engineering for it? We blast out that bridge. They build the same bridge.
Right.
I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me, because within 100 years, according to, they say it's going to go again. So let's build it for the 500-year flood and hope for the best.
Right. Yeah. Our infrastructure is very old. So it's trying to prioritize.
And I know it's all about money and this and that, but, we got to start thinking long-term in solutions, not just doing what we've always done.
Right.
So
well, same thing in conservation. We're certainly shifting focus on what we've done. And we look at, just in Michigan, looking at trails and trail use. And, it used to just be hikers. Well, now we're focusing on, mountain bikes. You get the big mountain bike drive. And, and now we're looking at disc golf and other recreation opportunities, just the next best thing that pops out of the rabbit's hat, and trying to forecast that and plan ahead. For your infrastructure and how you're going to sustain that for the user, the end user.
And it's all going on in the outdoors, and we're the police in the woods, I keep saying. So no matter what happens, the police in the woods.
Right.
If it happened in the woods, I'll call the DNR. And I think nationwide, if somebody gets lost, call the DNR.
Yep.
If someone, if something's happening in the woods, call the DNR. So we certainly share responsibilities. I've been involved with a few murders and stuff that have been in the woods. So, and that's kind of typical because, when it's in the woods, if they don't have the skill sets, they call who does, which is smart.
Yes.
So, and we work very well with our troopers too. So, and half of them that I work with should be game wardens too.
Yeah.
So,
as do we.
Yeah. So, especially Bob, you got to,
He would love to. He keeps asking, well, can't you guys just bring in without having to go through another recruit school, because he's 50 now and I'm 45. And no, I wouldn't want to go through it.
Ain't going to happen again.
Another 18 weeks of.
No, he's there for the long term. So for sure. And I would want to do it again too. No. But I am seeing older people get involved. Graham Courtney works for us and I did a podcast with him. I think he came on at 40. So again, very physically fit, very outgoing, but I'm thinking, how would I don't want to do that at 40.
Yeah.
I'm 50 now too, but I wouldn't want to do it at 40.
Right. Yeah. My knees and hips wouldn't be able to hold up. I don't think, but
no
matter how hard you work out.
Right. But it's good that you're seeing a trend change, especially as females coming into law enforcement, and your recruiting seems to be doing really well there in Michigan. So a lot of Michigan people gravitating to the job, or are people coming from all over the country to get there?
We are seeing quite an influx in people outside the country, outside the state anyway. Neighboring states, either people who visited or went to school here in Michigan and they want to stay in Michigan. Nice. It is a beautiful state. I mean, I've traveled. When I graduated from high school, I took 3 months off and just went out west. I did the whole...
Nice.
Took all my money and went for as long as I could, right? Yep. And visited every state park I could hit. And that really ingrained in me how beautiful of a state I live in. I love Michigan. And had I not had that experience, I wouldn't have looked at it the same.
Right. You got woods, you got water.
Yeah. You got the seasons. I like to visit Florida. I love to go saltwater fishing, but I couldn't do it 24/7, 365.
Because it doesn't change a whole lot, does it, down there?
No,
so.
And as conservation officers, we need that change. The change in the seasons, and
the change in the job.
It's the best job in the world.
Yeah, because every 3 to 4 months, it's changing on you.
Yep.
So, and that's what I liked is the variety. Poor Bob, your husband does the same type of work day in and day out. Guess what? When it starts snowing, I get a snowmobile out.
Yeah.
When it thaws, I'm out there checking fishermen. I'm stocking fish. And summertimes, I'm on an ATV. I'm doing search and rescue. The fall comes, it's hunting season, and we're shifting gears all the time. And, and it's a different job every season.
Right. Yeah. And he's sitting on the freeway.
Yeah,
traffic.
That's tough to take. I couldn't have done it. I'm so happy that I found my niche early on. So, and I'm so happy that we're sharing with it. I think people. We may not get paid as much as some of the other law enforcement, but man, our office is phenomenal.
Yes, exactly. And the tools that we get. We get boats.
I'm glad you call them tools. A lot of people call them toys, but everything turns into a job. I will say that. Yep. And about my 10th day on a snowmobile, I'm like, this sucks.
Yep.
And it's cold, and it's,
and, being in 100 degrees on a kayak with your uniform and your vest and your gun belt. And, it's not all fun. And, we do explain that to our cadets as well. The people who are interested in the job that...
But I never remember that stuff. I always remember the good stuff, being in the kayak. Well,
being retired,
around.
Right? That is
being retired, I can reflect there. I miss all the good stuff, and I don't miss all the bad stuff, is what I say. So,
And you've had quite some experiences yourself.
Yes, no doubt. It's been a phenomenal career, and I'm glad I'm here to say that. Yeah. So, but it's definitely a dangerous career too, because of the people we deal with, and we deal with a lot of good people. We deal with a lot of bad people.
Oh yeah, yeah. I often complain about the amount of time we spend in training, but it is so necessary.
And when it's time, it kicks in.
Yeah. You shoot 4 or 5 times a year. We're up to 4 times a year now. Got survival tactics twice a year, first aid.
There's a lot of training.
And there's a lot of training. And then we have our specialized training, the ORV, the Marine, the trapping, so much of it. Search and rescue.
Yep.
We do winter search and rescue up in the Upper Peninsula. And, you're out there in frigid temperatures learning how to survive yourself. When you might be trying to rescue somebody. So
right.
And we've had an officer just 2 years ago who he was ice fishing on his own time with other conservation officers, but had left and kind of lost his way. It was dark and ended up breaking through the ice on his sled, personal sled. But he was able to save himself because of the training that he had for his job.
Yeah. That's huge.
And he just retired a couple of weeks ago. So
thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and am I remembering something in the news there? Some of the Michigan officers went out on the ice and caught a guy that was a kidnapper or something, or am I missing that?
No, I think. Let me think about it here. We did find somebody. I don't think it was on the ice.
Okay.
It may have been.
They were trying to head to Canada or something.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was 2-tracking somewhere. They found somebody in the woods that it was a kidnapper.
Yeah. So.
We have so many success. I was just reading our news updates this morning, and just recovered a 2-year-old girl that spent the night in the woods. She got lost early in the morning, and then
we're good at what we do, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm very proud of conservations across the nation. We're very good at what we do.
Very good, but very humble.
Yes, but that's why I'm talking to you, because we don't need to be humble. We need to tell people what we're doing. We need to tell people that we're good at what we do. And, when it's in the woods, you want your game wardens there.
Right. Yeah. And we need to support other states who don't have as many as we do.
Absolutely. We were just talking about Nevada.
Yeah, we're sitting here in Nevada, and they've got 31 officers for the entire state.
Yeah, and I think you could fit, 6 New Hampshires in Nevada, probably more. And we have about the same staffing. It just blows my mind. So
it's amazing.
Yeah. So as a woman, were you ever more worried about dealing with, you're talking about the, towards the Upper Peninsula or your patrol, and, is that more conscious of you? Do you work differently, you think?
No, I don't think so. I think throughout my career, whether it was the state police or the DNR, I felt confident that I was given the tools. And it's your responsibility too. I teach Girl Scouts and whatnot, on how to be defensive and offensive, to carry yourself with purpose, to, look like where you're walking and where you're going, and that you have a stoutness about you, that you're portraying that physically. So I think I've had the training, but it's also the mindset of, you're going home regardless that day. You're going to go home.
Yeah.
And it's just knowing my capabilities and keeping up with my strength, and
Were you treated differently by people you deal with because you're a woman? Did you ever have any?
Well, yeah, I think in all of my, even growing up,
because you broke into basically a man's job. I mean,
yeah, and even
back in then, 21 years ago,
as far back as working in the backpacking stores and the fishing stores,
you dealt with that a lot, huh?
Oh yeah, you get those.
Yeah, I don't want to hear from you, little girl.
Guys that come in and say, "Is there?" Literally ask me straight to my face, "Is there a man I can talk to?"
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and you go into the profession knowing you're going to have to deal with that. Right. And you just got to recognize it. And it's about how you react to it. It's not, you can't get angry about it. It's in existence. It's going to be there. It's about how you react to it. I've always reacted with kindness, and just, I remember specifically one person who was talking to me about some hunting equipment, and I explained everything that, I knew, which was very thorough, and nope, still want to talk to a man. Okay, bring another person up. He hears the exact same thing. So he ends up apologizing to me, purchases the equipment, recognized himself that, he was in the wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't be treating, and I've had it happen on the road too, where you get very upset older men who don't believe
the little girl just stopped me.
Yeah. I'm old enough to be your grandfather. Yes, sir, you are. And I've got 20 more years to work. And if I got to deal with people like you every day, I don't know if I'm going to make it. You're right. I'm sorry. So, it's about how you react to what's going to come at you, because you can't control what's going to come at you.
Right. So some of those tools that you've been given, and I think that store was a really good starting place for you, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. It gave you a lot of those verbal tools to make 21 years. So.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that, and probably your mother too instilled that you're always coming home too, and go out there and run in 110 degrees and do your push-ups at the stoplights, and so I think you had some skills growing up that were instilled in you that carried you through very easily, I think. So.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't have an easy childhood. Had to deal with some very hard situations growing up. Didn't have a lot of support from my father on that side of the house. So, but I still say everything happens for a purpose, and that's what made me who I am today. So even though there's lots of struggles, it's the fight that you had to get through to make you who you are. Yeah,
and I will say you portray confidence. So, and you've got a great personality too, and that's why I think I gravitated to you in that first conference, because you have you're capable. And that's exactly what your persona says. I'm capable, and I can get the job done, and that's nice. And managing a dispatch center is a huge responsibility. I don't think people understand just the personnel, the calls, the things that somebody managing that takes a skill set that is it's tough. I've seen some of the toughest things in dispatchers, and I just talking to doing another podcast with Guidefitter, when they were trying to say who's professionals and stuff, dispatchers were just recognized as first responders,
right?
And I think that's long overdue.
Yes, very much long overdue, because
they are the first. They may not be there, but they're the first responder.
They're the hidden first responder. But they are, I guess, the top of that three-legged chair. If you didn't have them, fire, emergency response, EMS would all fall apart. And they're the connection with the one person on the phone, that citizen that's having the worst day of their life.
Yeah, exactly.
And the job to do that and the multitasking that they do is insane.
Yes.
And a lot of times for our dispatch center, no, we don't handle those public safety calls, the 911 calls, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But they are the first contact that they're having with our department in many cases.
Right.
So just the professionalism that they have to carry, as well as sitting in a room with no windows with other people for 12 hours a day where they don't have an opportunity to step away from their console for 5 minutes.
Right.
It really is an unrecognized
I totally
profession.
agree. They're lifelines,
yes.
Lifelines for your officers, and when they do get those calls, they react, at least the ones I've always dealt with, react very professionally, very efficiently, and they're there for you in the field. So it's that lifeline.
Yeah. And that's, their primary responsibility is officer safety, and they take it so seriously.
Right.
That is their main goal.
Right.
Is to serve the officers in the field.
Yeah. And they're the catalysts for the complaints and the information that we're getting from our operation game teams, your RAP line. You got to be the only RAP line.
I know.
In North America, I think. So,
yeah.
And RAP line, remind me again, report a poacher.
Report all poaching.
Report all poaching. Okay. RAP. Wisconsin RAP. RAP. The number 1-800-292-7800.
Yeah.
So
Michigan.
Michigan.
Not Wisconsin.
Oh, did I say Wisconsin? I am so sorry.
That's all right.
I'm going to have to cut that one out of the podcast. So, oh boy, I'll have Michigan and Wisconsin mad at me. So I can't do that. But yeah, so the only RAP line that I'm aware of. So
yeah.
But I'm going to remember it, Jen, just because it is the only one. So
yeah. Well, I didn't have anything to do with naming that, but
yeah,
it's
but that got you to be involved with International Wildlife Crime Stoppers, huh?
Yeah. So, 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yes. And now you're the regional representative for your area, right?
Yeah, Midwest Regional Director. So
yeah, absolutely.
That solidified my place here in IWC.
That's right.
But it's a great organization.
You're right.
Like I said, there's states like us who have 250 officers, but then you look at states like Nevada with 31, and they don't have a budget base. So
right.
We're all here to support one another, and that's important.
Yeah.
That's our overall goal, is to stop all poaching everywhere.
And that's what International Wildlife Crime Stoppers, it helps the ones that need help.
Exactly.
So I think it's an awesome role that we've done, and I've certainly been happy to be part of it, and sounds like you are too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great mission, and
yeah. So hopefully we can get other supporters and, the general public to support it as well. So I know that we're going to do memberships now. So anybody can be a member of International Wildlife Crime Stoppers, which is an awesome thing to have a decal on your car in your house and be a part of that mission with us.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's really cool. Anything in closing you want to talk about? Or, I always say this is much your podcast as my podcast. And, it was great because I learned a lot more about you. Well,
I guess we are hiring. We hope to run another school next summer.
You're always hiring, aren't you? Because we're always hiring.
Yeah.
So if you want to go,
we've got people retiring, so we're always hiring. But
if you want to go live in Michigan and have the water, the beautiful, definitely.
Yeah.
So that would be good. It's definitely a good place to go. Mm-hmm. So to be a game warden.
Yeah. Well, and I think what I found just in these conferences, as well as leadership academies and stuff that I've attended, networking with other officers from other states. is important. It's huge. It's just, it adds to that perspective once more. Just as diversifying your work is, or what you do throughout your career, it's just as important, I think, to broaden that net and networking with other officers throughout the state. And IWC aids in that well, too, so.
And she was our only female officer, Heidi Murphy.
Yes,
so through that networking stuff. So now we have 2 officers, so we've increased by, 100%.
Outstanding. There's always a starting point.
Yes,
I don't think
absolutely.
You can digress.
Yeah, and you had 15 in the academy. We get 2.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy my profession. It's nice to see women coming in. I'm one of 15 lieutenants, and I'm the only female, so it's great during meetings. I never have a line at the bathroom.
That's awesome.
There are some perks to being one of the few. But it's talent. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female or Hispanic or what diversity you come from.
Right.
It's having those experiences and bringing your talent to the table.
Any tips for the females trying to break into this, job?
Yeah. I mean, just what I tell all of our folks is get your experience, get out there, get to know what the job is, because I find a lot of people come in thinking that they know in their mind because they've seen it on TV. They've seen all the fun stuff that happens.
They haven't seen the backside.
They haven't seen the backside. So that's where I really recommend get in your ride-alongs, work on your physical fitness. You're the only person that knows what your weaknesses are, and connect with the people that can help you strengthen your weaknesses and get some experience under your belt as far as life experience.
Yeah.
We get a lot of really
that's great life coaching, period, no matter what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. So awesome. Hey, thanks for taking the time with me, Jen. Jen Wolf, 21 years with Michigan DNR, and to give that experience, to give that female side of the job is priceless. I've had a lot of requests for it, and hopefully we'll fill the void. I plan on doing a lot more females as much as I can. I know there's at least a few more in Michigan, so that's good to know.
I can connect you up with some folks.
Great.
And you've got my contact information if you ever have any cohorts out there that want to give me a call.
Yeah.
More than welcome to talk to others.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jen.
You're welcome.
Please join me, Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and other game wardens on our adventures protecting wildlife, saving lives, and having fun, all while serving the public and the natural resources of our planet. Listen to the tales and experiences of those who work in the outdoors while being entertained with stories about encounters with poachers, wildlife investigation, murder investigation, near-death experiences, search and rescue missions, wildlife interactions from game wardens around the country and around the world. When I retired, I realized I couldn't let go of that legacy, but rather wanted to share the passion, the commitment, and the stories of those men and women that call themselves game wardens. This is Game Warden Wayne Saunders, and this is Warden's Watch.